All right, next one. Never, ever, 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 ever take a cheater back. Never. Period. Ever. Never do it. Because when you take a cheater back, even if they feel awful about it, even if they regret it, even if they say they're sorry, you're one way or another, you're giving permission to make it happen again because you forgave them and you took them back. You forgave them and you took them back. And you can't do that. There's my pup, since you heard him just shaking his head and sleeping. I'm going to have to get a better camera that I can adjust or something so I can aim it on him instead of his butt. Never, ever take a cheater back. Because even if you do, even if you make them jump through hoops, even if they say they regret it, ultimately, they got a free pass. Ultimately, they're able to say, hey, you know what? I got away with it because they kept me. And that only emboldens them to do it more. Got a story here from the Mirror. I'm back with my husband after an affair, but whenever we sleep with each other, I wish I was still with my lover that I cheated on him with. Imagine that. Imagine you're a guy, you find out your wife stepped out on you, you take her back, and now she doesn't want to sleep with you anymore, and she still wants to go sleep and just thinks about the ex-lover. Not only did you degrade yourself by taking her back, degrade yourself by taking her back, but she doesn't even want to be with you. I mean, talk about being a simp. Talk about losing out. She says, Colleen Nolan advises reader whose marriage is on the rocks, even though she's gone back to her husband after a passionate fling. Notice that wording right there, even though she's gone back to her husband. Not even though her husband took her back, even though she was brave and strong enough to go back to her husband after cheating on him. Brave, strong and powerful. Says, Dear Colleen, I'm a woman in my late 30s. Oh, this is not going to turn out well for her. I'm a woman in my late 30s, and I'm married with 2 kids. A few months ago, I had a brief sexual affair, which was amazing. I know it sounds awful to say that, but there's always a but in there, isn't there? There's always a but. I know I cheated on him, and I did wrong to him and my 2 kids. But my feelings, but my needs, right? She says, I know it sounds awful to say that, but the experience made me feel alive and desired for the first time in years. The guy I was seeing is also married and has 1 child with his wife. Now, he's just as bad. That dude is just as much an asshole as this woman is. I'm giving him no passes either. They're both equally wrong. But she hadn't felt alive. I hadn't felt the butterflies. I hadn't felt desired in years. Raise your hands. Matter of fact, raise your hands if you've ever been in a relationship where you didn't feel desired, but you hung around anyway because it was the right thing to do, or you were married and you wanted to work it out, or you had kids. But my feelings, she says. And I know it's awful, but. And remember, she's just not hurting just her husband. She's hurting her 2 kids because now the kids are going to have a messed up family. They're going to have a father that is an idiot and probably resents mother, and a mother who doesn't want father anymore. What a great family. To cut our long story short, we got found out and both felt so terrible and guilty over it. It completely shattered our bubble. I'm so guilty. Oh, I feel so awful. But she says, my husband cried and couldn't even look at me for days. And that right there, my friend, is where she lost all attraction to you. That's where she lost all attraction to you. She looked at him and went, wow, what a pussy. Even though he might have been upset and he loved her very much and he was so upset he cried, doesn't matter. If a man sheds tears, no matter what, it dries women up like a Sahara desert. He would have been better if he's like, you're out, you're done, you're out. I don't want to ever see you again. I don't want to talk to you again. You're out. You ruined it. Too late. And then he went out and hit the gym and started leading a happy life and got back into his activities that he loved, because you know what? She'd see him and him mountain biking and him enjoying and having great time with the kids. And you know what she'd say? Man, I shouldn't have thrown that away. That's the man I fell in love with. The adventurous, good-looking, athletic guy, blah, blah, blah. Instead, he cried, blew it all right there, because it's effeminate. And I get crying. I get crying and being upset. I get it. You just don't do it in front of the girl. You do it on your own time. Don't do it around guy friends. Don't go to a bar and complain to the bartender. Now, you can talk about it with friends. And yeah, you might break down and shed some tears with a friend, because guy friends will understand that, because we've been there. But I'm just saying that like doing it in front of the wife and doing it in front of women, no. She says, amazingly, both he and my lover's wife decided they could forgive us and move on from it. So we agreed that we owed it to them and our kids to try and make our marriages work. It was heart-wrenching to end the affair, and I still miss him so much. But remember, she also feels so terrible and guilty over it. I feel so terrible and guilty over getting caught, but also it's heart-wrenching that I gave it up and I miss him so much. She says, I've tried with my husband, but the sexual side of things just isn't working. Why? The attraction's gone. Why? Because now she's only thinking about the other guy, and her husband was crying and let his true emotions show through. And if it sounds like I'm being cold or I'm being calloused or I'm not being understanding to like how guys break down and guys have tough times and guys cry and guys need emotional support too, I totally get that. But the emotional support is not going to come from her. The emotional support is going to come from family. It's going to come from time alone, stoicism, meditating on it, thinking about it, maybe posting it on forums to strangers. It just, society does not accept weak men, despite what they say. The society finds it very unattractive. It's why simps are simps, and that's why it enrages a lot of guys, because they'll see men being super thirsty and needy for women, and it's just repulsive. It's like, dude, stop. Like, have some fortitude. And it's very hard for men to deal with a lot of these problems on their own. I get that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be emotional. Just know where and when and how. That is important. Go see a legitimate therapist. Pay someone to watch you cry. Like, go see someone that can actually help you. Go see a professional if you're really having a hard time with that stuff. Self-deletion, not an option. That's not a way to go. You go talk to a professional. Make a phone call. But to do it to the person that is running away from you just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. She says, I honestly try, or she says, every time we have sex, I find myself wishing I was with the other guy and cringe when he touches me. I've honestly tried, but it's just not working, and things weren't that great before the affair either. Any ideas what I should do? And basically the advice is, well, it's over. Like, get therapy and it's over. And that's true. That's true. I don't believe in second chances. I used to at least think about it, consider the idea. I used to consider it like, well, okay, I was kind of a player one time, but I also didn't get into a very serious committed relationship when I was a player. If I was dating somebody and it wasn't working for me, I broke up with them and I moved on. And when she says, well, I didn't want to ruin our family, so I cheated. I just wanted to do it quietly so it didn't disrupt the household. Well, you ended up disrupting the household anyway. And now there is no working about it. And this is what you get for taking her back. I'm telling you, just don't. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And I firmly believe that. And some of you may have said, hey, you know what? I'm the one that cheated. And I went back and everything's fine. Like, we worked on it and she accepted me back. How do you know that she doesn't say, well, he's cheated on me, and so now I can cheat on him, and it'll just make it even? I've heard that excuse too. Well, my husband cheated on me, so I'm just cheating on him. And now maybe you don't know about her cheating, But in her head, it's justified because you did it once. There's just no way this ever ends out good. When it's over, it's over. When it's over, it's over. It's move on. Just be done with it. I've heard too many stories of where women are like this, or where guys go back for the families, but the wife isn't putting out and they're not getting their needs met, so they keep going. Nah, just end it. Just end it. And if you can't stay together for the sake of the kids, and you can't keep and if there are young children involved, I'd say, you know what, end it emotionally, but at least keep the household together and stay together for the kids, and both agree to quietly date other people, but spend every night at the house and pretend like your marriage is going. If you can do that so the kids still think everything's good, if you can maintain that, but God, other than that, then don't have any other relationships. Stay married, stay together just for the kids until they're old enough to understand and raise them well. So otherwise, we're just going to keep perpetuating this broken society on and on and on, and it gets worse and worse and worse, each copy of families. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but you know what? That's why I'm single. That's why I'm not getting into any marriages. And when I say single, it's like, don't get into marriages, don't cohabitate, don't, like, dating is fine, doing that kind of stuff. So those of you that say, well, I still want to date, go ahead. But the thing is, at least be able to walk away if she does you wrong on something like this.